let's go ahead and look at some of the thematic code examples. The red symbolizes love. Okay, I have a concrete thing symbolizing an abstract concept. That's like these are classic sort of examples of it. The green represents Mother Nature, even though we might not get that completely. They're still saying it. It's from the subject's point of view. We're fine with that. It looks like a guitar, an electric guitar. My brother has one that is the same shape. Okay, that's a clear personal experience having to do with this particular this guitar. We're going to think it's part of the justification of it. Okay, now that personalization has no influence at all or no connection to whether or not you score DR, deviant response. And some people say, sometimes you hear, if I scored a personalization, then it can't be a DR or vice versa. The two are completely separate. Okay? They may occur for the same language, but their judgment, the yes-no judgment on personalization has no effect on the yes-no judgment, the toggle switch for deviant response. Okay? And this particular response we would not code as deviant response. If you look that we have this thing we call like the two-step sort of rule, and we're trying to make some objective judgment about when the person has really left a response. And so this is only one step. If they kind of go on and like have changed the topic and continue talking, it's really cool. You should play it. You'd be great with it, or something like that. Then that's like a mild DR1. But you still understand it. It's somehow entertaining or something. That's going to be there could be a DR1. But this certainly would not be. So one of the problems with over pathologizing with the Rorschach is scoring too many DRs and too many peculiars or A-logs. And so what we've done is try to reel that in a little bit. And we gave some examples. And what happens is that in people's mind, or particularly in students' mind, when they read some of the descriptions and some of the text for inappropriate logic or A-logs or what we're calling peculiars, like they come away thinking that must be is the typical. This must be lettuce because it's green. That's the typical one. There are the A-logs that we're worried about, the peculiars, are considerably worse than that. And so we've provided some examples of some really crazy ones to make sure that people recognize that it gets a lot worse and don't score it too often. So two people dancing together, COP and MAH. We already looked at this. A crumpled brown leaf. That's a sort of modulated, less severe morbid. Okay, it's crumpled. A very sad face. That's the affective kind. The distressed kind of morbid. So we have the damaged and the distressed. A smashed bug, that it's morbid and MAP. Something smashed it. Okay, it doesn't smash itself. It's an implied relationship.
Is there a reason it's not aggressive?
Well, aggression, the aggressive movement has to be occurring in the present. So in other words, they have to be smashing the bug in the present. And so that's the imagery has to be going on currently. A crab, part of the body is missing. It's a morbid. Okay, we gave that idea of missing parts that we gave you. There's some direction and some description about when something's really missing or not, and that if it was a person, the top half of a person in the water, like the bottom half is still there, that's not really a missing part, so it wouldn't be a morbid. Okay. Two people playing a game together, COP and MAH. I guess two people playing a game would be COP and MAH also. It doesn't need it together.
That's what I was going to ask. Would it?
Together's redundant.
Together,
yeah,
well, it is redundant.
Yeah, it's redundant in this one. So that's kind of, in a sense, it could be kind of a confusing example in the context you're thinking that it has to be together, but this doesn't hide it. It still wants to be there. You can see it together on my hand.
Right.
But two people playing a game, that's MAH. Right, Phil?
Yeah.
Okay. Bugs at a party having fun together, COP and MAH.
But would it also get another special score?
Yeah, it would get FABCOM. Okay, that mere statement, not qualified, would get a FABCOM also, and a human movement, and probably a GHR if it's accurate, because a FABCOM gets overruled by the cooperative.
I
in the GHR. We also considered some of Giacono and Malloy's other other codes, aggression past and stuff, and we had it in the system. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Giacono and Malloy's with aggression past and aggressive potential and all that stuff. Aggressive past. What happened? We had aggressive past, Morbid, and MAH, and it was sort of like it was like too much. Like it was like a critical mass where people were getting confused all the time, and we weren't sure of the distinction. We pulled out aggressive past out of that because it got to be too many distinctions. And this cop MAH thing is a tripping point, in teaching. So, by and large, the thematic codes are all separate judgments. It's like miscellaneous, and like one does not affect the other, except MAH and MAP kind of come together. And GHR and PHR are like you can one or the other, but that does automatically. But everything else doesn't affect each other, and it doesn't affect cognitive codes. And that's why I got this toggle switch kind of idea. Does it have it or not? Does it have it or not? Next thing next. And they're all independent.
Mutuality of autonomy helping does overlap very significantly with COP, and you may not need both. But what really is helpful is mutuality of autonomy pathological, because what that says is that there's an imbalance of power between two objects, and that imbalance is being used in a destructive way. And that, as a way of representing what happens in interpersonal life, it is often a very useful kind of variable to have. So you might be in the funny position of not needing mutuality of autonomy healthy, but really needing mutuality of autonomy pathological.
A monster aggression content sneaking up behind another creature to get him, aggression movement, MAP, right?
Yeah, but those are good imbalance in
Right.
power.
Okay, and then MAP would be something that we would put there. It's a wasp. I can see the stinger, aggression content. Crab is not aggression, but claw is. Crab is not aggression content in and of itself, and that the claw on the crab, when they say claw, gets to be aggression content. And there are some peculiar sort of threshold sorts of things that have been reviewed and agreed on, and panels and things along those lines. And so again, the threshold is not going to make sense to everybody. And at some point, it is arbitrary, but we kind of move it and we try to give that threshold. Armies in combat, aggression movement, lots of guns, aggression content. Armies might even be aggression content. I don't know. A buffet with lots of food. A buffet when it means you're serving somebody, and food, those are things that get ODL, oral dependent language. And it was did I say it was the Rorschach oral dependency scale? It's known as the ROD in the literature. So, two people setting the table with silverware, a cop, and MAH. They're sort of like that they've got to be doing it together, setting the table or whatever. They're in the same thing going on, and it's barely an MAH though. It's kind of a weak one.